We're coming to you today from Melbourne, Australia, and we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording, the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening to the recording today.
Hello and welcome to the Olfactive Melbourne podcast. Our show is all about elevating Australian perfumery through conversations with Australian perfume houses who take us on a guided masterclass through a fragrance that best represents their brand. Hello and welcome to Olfactive Melbourne. I'm your co-host, Trent Stokes.
And I'm Robin Stokes. Today, we're really excited because we've got in the studio Julia Brown and Josh Mihan, the founders of Mihan Aromatics. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much for having us today, Robin and Trent.
It's a real pleasure.
So just to kick off the show, it'd be wonderful to hear from you. When did Mihan Aromatics launch and where are you based?
You can go for it, Josh.
I'll start. It feels like we've been going forever now, but yeah, Mihan Aromatics started in 2017, about, I'd say 8 years now. I'm not very good with maths. And the idea started when we lived in London, and then we decided, coming back to Australia, we wanted to create a perfume brand that transported all our memories of everything that we missed back at home.
I might go into that question a little bit more. I guess we lived in London for 2 years, and prior to that, we traveled for a year and a half. And being away from home for that period of time, you really start to miss your friendship groups and especially Australian landscapes and places and experiences. And I guess if you think about scent, it is very nostalgic. It's memory driven. Series 1, Sienna Broom, Mikado Bark and Guilty Story, that concept was actually derived when we were living in London together. And then we came back, and that's when we really focused on, let's do some deep research into the perfume world. Let's look at niche fragrances, who are our competitors, and then the brand really morphed from there.
Oh, that's amazing. Can't wait to dig into that a little bit further down the track today. Can you tell us, just at a very high level, what is the identity of your brand from your perspective?
Well, firstly, the name Mihan is Josh's family name. So that plays a very special role in our brand. When we did further research into the word Mihan,
it actually means home and family in Prussian. So yeah, it really gave it a true meaning, and why, it really went along with it's a perfume company from our family, and somehow it all came together like that, which is really nice.
And then I guess if we're really looking at our true values and what is Mihan, why Mihan Aromatics, we're really trying to create a contemporary perfume house that is not driven by gender and perfume trends, but instead we're trying to create beautiful scents that can transport an individual to memory and emotion. I guess, in a society where people are constantly reaching for a pill to enhance mood, well, why not reach for a fragrance? And that's what we're truly trying to do. And the power of scent, we're very driven by design. And hopefully you can see it's a very design-led contemporary feel. So yes, we really draw on the Australiana experience and landscapes. However, we're doing it in a very contemporary, thoughtful way.
And I'd say most of our customers, we've very kind of mindful, calm, conscientious kind of shoppers. And Mihan Aromatics aren't scents that when you walk into a room, it's here I am. They're more for the individual, and they're not a big egotistic kind of fragrance. It's more for you and being mindful of the surroundings. Yeah.
What I'd love to know is which fragrance you've selected to be on the show and why you've chosen that particular fragrance to showcase today.
Yeah, so I guess it's Australian summertime right now, and we thought, why not hero Kirra Curl? Because it really holds such a deep part in our hearts. It's a fragrance that represents the Australian coastline, especially surf culture and what that brings to Australians. The ocean is such a powerful, raw place. Like even yesterday, I joined all these surfers at Torquay. We paddled out. It was a protest to help prevent offshore mining that the government's trying to pass in Victorian waterways. And I think like the more we can put eyes and noses and ears on, the ocean, the better, it is for the future of like the marine life. We want our children to be able to grow up and really enjoy what we had as well. So this is just a really stunning fragrance. It's very abstract. You might have seen Mihan Aromatics and we're promoting Sienna Broom, and that's Australian summertime. Whereas I think Kirra Curl almost has a raw, deeper, more energetic, true meat. Like it's got depth and meaning.
I could think of a better fragrance to feature at this time of the year. I mean, we're in Victoria and in Melbourne. We've had a number of 40-degree plus days.
Even though if the summer's a month late, I feel like we're right now we're in summer, aren't we? We got there eventually.
We got there eventually. So, and obviously, when people from overseas think about Australia, one of the very first things they think of are our beautiful beaches and a beautiful coastline. And this is the ideal one to really feature on the show. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get Robin to spray out the fragrance. We'd get you to spray it out as well. We like to put them both on the blotters and onto our skin. That gives us a really well-rounded experience of the fragrance on our skin. Sometimes it can appear a little bit differently depending on our skin chemistry. I certainly know that fragrances on my skin smell a little bit different to those on Robin's skin, whereas on the blotter, nice and consistent.
I always say, like, when people are experiencing our fragrances, in our store, we have our glotches, which you can quickly smell them, and that gives you an idea of which ones you like. And then you go on to like the scent strips to get a further experience. But if you really like a fragrance, you definitely need to smell it in your skin, because sometimes your skin chemistry, it just doesn't sit right, or sometimes it enhances it. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. I've known quite a lot of people who will go into a store, they'll try on a fragrance and they'll smell it. Like, I love it, and they go and buy it.
Yeah.
But they haven't gone through the dry down either. And they're like, why does this smell really different when I brought it home? And
100%.
This is why we like to go all the way through the fragrance from the opening notes.
Especially the fragrance, I find as well, like, just getting that initial on a scent strip, you get a lot of the top notes through, and then you don't get the heart and the base notes. And that's when it really, like, end of the day, that's when a fragrance is going to sit in your skin, and that's what you're going to experience the whole way through. So
that's what you're going to live with.
That's what's going to get the compliments.
Exactly.
All right, so we're about to experience our opening notes. Just for our viewers, to anybody who's a little bit new to perfumery, there is a perfume pyramid appearing on your screen at the moment. What we're going to be experiencing is that very top of the pyramid. They're called opening notes. Opening notes are made up of the lightest and the most volatile of the fragrance molecules. That just simply means that those molecules will surface in the fragrance first and they'll dissipate the fastest. Opening notes tend to last for about 15 to 30 minutes, just depending on the composition of the fragrance and your skin chemistry. But that's essentially what we're going to be going through. Once those have dissipated, it'll make way to the heart notes. This show is proudly sponsored by Watchvault, Australia's premier destination for luxury and vintage timepieces. Every watch is trusted, verified, and ready for its next chapter. Visit watchvault.com.au to discover your next timeless investment. So I guess with all of that explained, let's have a little bit of a sniff and then we'll go through our notes.
Lovely. In saying that, I actually didn't spray it on my skin after all that. So
Sorry, I jumped the gun and did.
You sprayed my stick and then I got busy talking.
Wow, it is super fresh, isn't it? A really fresh blast, but I'm not going to go through the notes. Guys, take us through what notes we're experiencing here in the opening.
Okay, so let's focus on the top notes to start off with, because this is what we're currently smelling. In regards to Kirra Curl, the top notes is like sea salt and lemon zest, so lemon rind. And I guess, when you close your eyes and you imagine stepping out of your car or walking onto the sand, when you first arrive at that ocean, you get that instant hit of that salty breeze. Often the sand goes into your hair depending on what kind of day you're there.
And it's not even like, it's not a fog, but it's like a mist, and the ocean's hitting the rocks and the sand. And you get that.
Oh, that
spray. It's just spraying the air. You get that even at the car park before you even get down. And that's kind of like what resembles the opening notes here.
And then I guess the the hero note in the top note is lemon zest. And I guess that's also like to try to represent almost that like sunshine. And it's bringing out, like, if you think of a bit of citrus, but citrus can be quite acidic. So lemon rind, it's more zesty and has this floral undertone. And I guess it's almost like
a bit bitter.
yeah. But it's sort of representing like that sunshine, on your back.
Yeah, it's really unique. I guess when you read the notes, you're expecting a big blast of lemon, but it's not what I'm getting.
Very subtle.
It's very subtle and just fresh.
Yeah.
Super balanced. And that picture you're painting for me in my mind about just turning up to the beach and just getting that's where I'm at. So I guess with fragrance storytelling is really quite important as well. So I guess this is a, sort of surf coast based, inspired fragrance.
Yeah.
Are we a surfer we've now just arrived at the beach and we're getting ourselves ready to go in the water? Is that sort of the picture we're starting to
100%. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You kind of just got out of your car, you're getting excited, you're up at the car park or the cliff, and you're putting on your wetsuit, and you can kind of, we'll go into the other notes, but you can start to smell the surf wax on the board and everything even before you go in there. And yeah, you can hear the waves crash in the foreground, and yeah, it's the whole experience. There's nothing better than a great surf day on the beach.
Absolutely. You see those waves rolling out there. You got the beautiful sunshine. It's a perfect day. It's the anticipation and about to jump into the water. I think that's painting the picture really nicely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely gorgeous. Yeah.
Fantastic. So with the sea salt accord, I guess you guys, it's probably important to explain, you are the founders and creative directors of Mihan Aromatics. You work with perfumers. So we're not going to fire a bunch of technical questions at you related to perfumery, but to your understanding, is the sea salt piece an accord, or is that an actual note?
Yeah, so the sea salt is actually an accord. So in regards to the formulation, we use a mix of natural and synthetic molecules in our fragrances, and the perfumer magically creates this accord.
It's just always good for people who are listening at home to understand that
we actually get sea salt from the kitchen, and we just pour it in the bottle.
But it's tequila on top.
We bottle it in the air at the ocean. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess if you don't have a technical perfumery background, it'd be fair to assume that to get leather, you just soak leather in some alcohol and then you pour it in, or you just tip the salt in. But that's not actually how these things work.
No,
because it's got to be balanced out with everything else that's in the fragrance, and it doesn't quite work. If you were to spray salt in the skin, you wouldn't probably smell it.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So you've got to get the sense of salt.
Yeah.
Is that the case with the lemon zest as well? Do you know if that's an accord or whether that's an actual note?
That would be more.
No, we actually have essential oil.
All right. So you've got a balance of an actual essential oil note with an accord, bringing that together in the structure of the opening. Yeah, fantastic.
It definitely, every time I'm smelling the skin, changes already. So you do get the lighter, lemony, zesty, but then that salty something is a real treat. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we'll dive into the heart notes, sort of after this section. But important to note that when I mention the structure of the perfume pyramid with opening notes and then heart notes and then base notes, that's not really how things unfold. We're going to start getting those heart notes starting to punch through.
And I was actually about to say that to you already, Trent. So I think it's so beautiful the way you break down this podcast, but already you can really smell the heart and the base notes, can't you? And
they're coming through.
And it is great to always chat about them and define them, but it's this evolution, isn't it? And it's almost a bit of an orchestra. So maybe the violins start a little bit louder and then they, are quieter, and then the cello picks up and the piano, but they're all sort of harmoniously playing together. And you would have noticed that even at the start, like the vanilla, the leather, the surf wax, all of those scents are sort of coming to life already. But sometimes, yes, it's great to really pull out the nitty gritty details, but it is really quite majestic flow of like energy and sensuality kind of.
And also going back to your, I'm just going to keep going about reverse paper. I truly believe that you don't get the sense of all the top, middle, and base on a scent strip to your skin. I think that experience is only developed on your skin, and also comes back to why perfume is so individual and for you to experience, because it connects with, this is the fragrances we've created from our experiences and all that, but then it connects in. Not only does the story connect with you, it connects with your chemistry of your own skin composure. So that's why it's so special.
And then also we perceive things, like every individual perceives something differently.
Definitely.
So we're not always smelling exactly the same, are we? And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think as a perfume lover, you anticipate that journey of the fragrance, you know, that's part of the joy of having the bottle.
And I'll even just give you a little bit of a backstory to our brand. So going back to Mihan, we're a very poetic brand. Up until probably 2-3 years ago, we never disclosed the notes. Instead, we never wanted to, what we found, like when we're speaking to consumers and friends and family, or someone might say, oh, rosemary, I can't stand that smell. It makes me feel really sick. Or like, oh, no, I can't wear rose fragrances. So we tipped perfumery on its head, shall we say. We scrapped all the notes when we first started our house. And the way we actually described our fragrances was truly through emotion. So we hadn't tact. So Kirra Curl, for example, we really just focused on the energy of the ocean and the waves. So it was unruly, restless, and bliss. So, and then you read this beautiful poetic description. Are you happy if I read?
Love you.
I'll refer to my booklet because I'm not, I can't remember. So yeah, basically, so it was unruly, outnumbered, restless, and endless. So that's like the hero tact. We never disclose the scent notes. And then this is the description. So salt-crusted towels, sand pushed into wax, all but closed out, artfully self-medicated by floating solitude and reef relief, zipped up with a coat hanger, tempered by the indoors, last night spent breathing in something heady, like sea air or an idle pickup.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Very descriptive. It takes you on that sort of mental journey.
And it was, Jules beat me to that one because I just thought of that one. I was like, you got me. I wanted to talk about that, but just going like the whole idea, yeah, exactly. Like your interpretation, like an easy one I would say would be like, let's say, I'm going a little bit off topic here, but Sienna Broom, when it's inspired by leisurely poolside, daydreaming, faltering through a magazine. People like really connect like that. They're like, I can see everyone's seen themselves in that scene on a poolside. And that's when people like, I love this, like they already love the fragrance before they even smelt it because they're like, that's my.
And then the emotion that we were evoking was effervescent, supernatural, tempting, and clever. And who doesn't want to feel like that, Absolutely. And especially in COVID, like Sienna Broom just skyrocketed because you could close your eyes and be transported to just this fabulous moment of hanging with your friends, at your favorite beach or pool.
But then like Julia said, like, yeah, like it's unfortunate. Someone will see a note and go, I don't like that. But in perfume, there is so many, and we'll go into like with the leather and the vanilla of Kirra Curl, there is so many different versions of that accord. And like, it's not just like, there's not just one, there's so many. So that's why we try to stay away from that. But as the brand's grown and we're, worldwide now, and, people do like to see the notes. So we had to give in.
They do. But I do like the fact that I do like this approach because I think one of the things that we experienced when we first got into perfumery, right, was put this scent strip under your nose and tell us what you can smell. And then, no, that's not in it. And that would embarrass and humiliate us a little bit. And then we get nervous about it. Why do that to people? If you smell what you smell. There's no right or wrong.
And that's why the other passion that we have is we love wine. And if you think of the aroma profiles of wine, and it just sparks so much joy because when you're in a wine tasting, you can say whatever you want. And if you interpret it to have hay and straw and this, you often get congratulated. You never get faulted for like your own interpretation. If anything, they're quite intrigued and they're like, Actually, we might remember that.
And we could pretend drinking lots of wine is market research for like the brand. Absolutely.
Love that. Training our palate and our nose.
It's funny what you said about being embarrassed about not knowing, like, it's like in what you say a note and they're like, oh no, that's not in there. And this was the biggest feedback actually of going back to one of our first retailers, Law Perfumery, who we absolutely love those girls. And this was the whole idea. And when we trained everyone there, when we first started, that our feedback was from them. And even to this day, any of our like really good retailers who tell the story behind the fragrance, the customer remembers the story and the feeling and the emotion. No one remembers the notes. No one. Only if you're really in tune to like remembering that. That goes back to why we create this fragrance. It's to transport you to that feeling and emotion. And that's what people resonate with. They don't resonate with, oh, it's this note and that note. And that's why we go that way.
Yeah, notes could be very deceptive. So, I mean, you can look at a set of notes and go, I love every one of those notes. And you're reading Fragrantica, and then you go blind by the fragrance. It turns up and you go, oof, that's not for me. Because the notes don't tell the story. As you just mentioned before, how like leather, for instance, might present. There's 1,000 different iterations of leather. Depends on
Different.
which molecules you remove or you add in or you leave in. It's quite complex perfumery, which is why we'll never, ever get to the point where we've run out of formulations of perfume. There will always be something.
Like, is it deep, strong Moroccan leather handbags, or is it like leather of a car seat?
Yeah.
So
Or saddle, or
exactly.
I mean, there's just so many different iterations, and that's true of every single note that's out. We just covered this off with lemon. We were expecting a lemon blast, but we got something quite different.
Yeah.
There's a sense of lemon there. It's fresh, but it's light and it's airy. And so that's why you can't necessarily just trust the notes. You always have to wear it on your skin. And then I think, as you pointed out before, Jules, this idea of the orchestra, you've got all of these notes, all of the instruments, so they're all playing, but sometimes one stands out more than the other. And that depends on your nose and depends on where we're at the stage of the perfume as well. So it's quite complex, the whole experience of perfume.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of time now for the dry down to occur. So, 15, 20 minutes from now, I'd say we'll be able to start to really get into the heart, although we did point out before that the heart's starting to punch through.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is take the opportunity now to sort of step back. And we know your brand's been around now for about 8 years, but that's when you started. When did the love of perfume start?
Should I start?
You start.
So I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but my background, I'm a physiotherapist and I'm specialized in neurophysiotherapy. So I guess I see fragrance from both sides, really. I see it from fashion, beauty, design, but then I see it from neurochemistry and, neuroscience. And I've been lucky enough, like when I was in London, to actually witness the power of scent in a medical world. So I was working at a couple of London's top private neuro hospitals, and we were very fortunate to have clients who had tragically been in very traumatic car accidents or experiencing very severe brain injury. And for that reason, they were in a minimal conscious state. So like in an induced coma. And then physio, speech therapy, occupational therapy, we would work together and we would do assessments regularly, every day, assessing their arousal state, memory, emotion, movement, facial twitching, recognition, eye opening. And actually, one of the key ways we did that was through everyday scent. So think of exposure to coffee, toothpaste, their jumper, their pet's blanket, their diary, because the olfactory system, it's linked to our limbic system and it bypasses, sorry to go into all the neuroanatomy, but it bypasses the thalamus. It actually, so, when you smell the scent, it goes into your olfactory bulb in your brain, and then that goes into your limbic system, which is like your hippocampus, your amygdala, your hypothalamus, and they're the areas that are connected to our memory and our emotion. So I guess I saw the power of scent from that perspective, from the medical world. And yes, I've always loved wearing perfume, and maybe I just wore it for more fashion. But then I actually saw the power of it, and it was incredible. And even just to watch, our clients' loved ones sitting in the room holding their hands and for them to share that experience when maybe they did have some excitement when they'll probably start crying.
To see a reaction from their loved one. Yeah.
So I guess
I was getting goosebumps listening to that.
yeah, so I don't come into the perfume world because I want to make money and I've just been obsessed with perfume all my life. I guess I'd come into this place for other reasons as well. And then obviously Josh and I,
And then
we've been together for so many years. And then he is obviously more the design and
but yeah, so like, and you would say,
things.
and that's why Mihan's actually not derived from like we know all these different perfume houses and we're obsessed with different perfumes, but the way it transports you, and that's coming from Juliet, that's a real backbone of it. And then so I'm a barber by trade. I've been a barber for 25 years. And when I worked in London, I worked for a really beautiful modern barbershop called Murdoch. And Murdoch has their own cologne range and their own skincare range. And I guess I've always been into kind of indie perfumes. Like I still have been into fragrances, a big fellow like Comme des Garçons and that all these years. But then working for Murdoch, the whole idea behind the clones was, you know, you would do a haircut and enhance someone's experience and take them through the range. And that's what they would associate that smell with that barbershop. So I guess in a way it was bringing people's memories back to that shop by the way they smelt the fragrance. And then we're lucky enough to get in, like, you know, a little bit involved with the perfume creations. And so I guess in line with it all, it goes back to our experience in London. And then we both had our own experiences. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, wow, this is such a cool creative platform that we can go forward and move on to
because it's the sense you're both being almost pushed in the direction.
We're both very creative people. Like even in my industry, you have to be very creative to work in neurorehabilitation because you're faced with so many challenges. So I think it's a medium that we can have so much fun and playfulness with. And we're not the perfumer. That takes years of study and practice. And maybe one day, yes. And we've both done short perfume courses, but I'm not going to pretend I'm a perfumer.
What's driven us this whole year? Yeah, like Julia said, it hasn't been for money or anything like that. Our favorite bit of the Mihan is the creation, creating these fragrances and then getting people like, you know, you guys inviting us today going, we've followed you guys all these years. That's like the most special thing to us.
And I think especially like now when since we've had our fragrances, the most amazing thing is we have so many of our customers write in and write us what memories it triggered and sparked. And I don't know whether you have gone on our website, but I also have a blog, not a podcast, but it's called MA Stories. And I interview Australian creatives. And one of the key things I ask them about is, you know, their scent memories, like from childhood. And I also ask them obviously about our fragrances and did it trigger any memory or emotion. And so
I think I'm just going a bit off topic here, but my favorite scent memory from someone writing in is this guy, and he was in the club one night and he's telling us how he met his partner. He went past the other guy and he had a whiff of, like, he smells him walk past, and then he said they were dancing, and his email was very like, you know, really when we were sweating on the dance floor, and this guy came and grabbed me and he's like, you smelled amazing, and pinned me up against the wall and kissed me, and then he became his partner. I was like, this is great.
Amazing story. Yeah.
I love this because it's really difficult to communicate this on the back of a Mihan box or even through your social media advertising, like getting that story that sits behind it, the inspiration that sits behind Mihan. Now those people who are fans or people who are just discovering the brand really know what Mihan's all about. And I think that's really important to be able to communicate where the heart of the brand actually lies. So I love
Even
that.
the other day we had a lady she'd been in hospital for months, and one thing that got her through was she sent her photos, everything. I was just like, you get these amazing emails, and you're like, you know, it's in a day we make fragrances, but it actually does impact.
It really impacts people's lives.
Yeah, it does. And I don't want to pretend we're not here to change, but it's nice when you get those little stories back.
Yeah.
And that's what fuels you to go move forward.
Motivates.
And people get very passionate about perfume as well, and they align themselves to brands that align with their identity and their values. because ultimately we wear perfume to communicate something to the world. Whatever that might be, you're trying to communicate something to others. What are you about? And so they want to be able to understand, well, what does the brand actually mean? And what does it mean to me? And what am I trying to communicate to other people? And I mean, we're big fans of Mihan. In fact, we were talking just before the show. We actually wanted Mihan on for episode 1, season 1. And we were psyching ourselves up to go and actually approach you guys at your Chapel Street store. We thought you might be there. We were going to take a chance, and we were walking up Chapel Street all nervous, about to go in, and we'd missed you by 24 hours. You're about to jump on a plane and head to Onsens in Malaya, and we just missed you. And you guys have been really busy because you're ranged sort of all over the place at the moment. We saw you in Thailand not that long ago during the, we love that little advertising that you did around the White Lotus. That was absolutely brilliant.
I think it was the first time we've ever just been quite playful and fun and just thought, who cares? Let's just take on these personas and characters.
I'm glad you didn't fall off the back of a tuk-tuk.
I think that's going to be, I would love to create a fragrance of riding on the back of a tuk-tuk with a chang in your hand.
That's a real sensory barrier, isn't it?
That can be our Thailand collection or something.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love the inspiration behind the brand. So obviously all of that culminated, your background, you missing Australia, you wanting to have those scent memories, all that came together in launching the brand. So the brand launched, I think you said, in 2017. All right, so you've been around for quite a long time now.
I'll tell you a little bit of a story about our launch. So at the time we were living in Fitzroy, and that's why also law plays such a special part in our hearts. But our first ever stockist was Handsome on Gertrude Street. And we just took a bit of a gamble and contacted, Handsome. Didn't realize it was owned by this beautiful English couple, Sam and Henry. Anyway, they've become our best friends. So isn't that, and I think that's the other thing.
And Sam always reminds me about my first email I sent to him. She goes, in the email it said, we're going to go leaps and bounds.
No, we're going to create ripples and then waves.
And this was pre-ChatGPT, by the way. This with she's like, well, I've got to meet this guy. They're causing ripples and waves.
We literally lived about 5 doors down from them. So I don't think they were ever going to be able to say no.
Yes, that's true.
Fantastic. It's really great to see you guys getting arranged in so many places now. It's brilliant. We're big fans of Law. Law is actually not too far from where we actually film here in the studio. We're big fans of the girls down there. They really do your brand justice. They really tell your stories really well. So big fan of that perfumery. So I think that might be a really good segue into our heart notes.
So we're going to just go back to the perfume pyramid just for a moment, where the heart notes form the center or the core of the perfume pyramid. And the heart notes are normally characterized by things like florals, perhaps some aromatic spices and herbs. And basically, they start to appear when the top notes begin to fade, as Trent said, around 20 minutes into the fragrance spray. And then they can form a smooth transition as well between those top notes and the heavier, denser base notes to come. They do tend to linger and last, and they form the heart and the personality and characteristics of the fragrance. This edition of Olfactive Melbourne is proudly sponsored by Silver Australia. Silver Australia design and shape their jewellery in their studio in Melbourne, and they're pleased to offer Olfactive Melbourne customers 20% off when you use the code MASA20. So with that being said, let's have a chat about the heart notes in Kirra Curl.
Our heart notes are leather and then surf wax. And then quite a few of your listeners must be thinking, what is surf wax?
Yeah.
Well, you've got Josh and I here to explain. So maybe firstly we'll focus on the leather. And I guess, at the start, when we told the story about Kirra Curl, it's representing going to the beach, entering the water, surfing, the energy of the ocean. But then it's also those moments and rituals where you're sitting in the car, whether it's after the surf or swim or your long walk along the beach, or even at the start where you're sitting, you've got the leather seats warming your skin and you're just watching the riffles.
I'm not sure if we added, it's late 1970s, early 1980s Kirra Curl. So that's probably quite important. So when we're talking about the leather seats,
Thinking of that old Volvo wagon or the Sandman.
The Sandman was the first thing that came into my mind.
that changes
A
everything a lot.
vintage kind of pickup. Yeah. So it's not a modern car.
It's not a Tesla.
Yeah. Not a Tesla. It's not a BM. We're thinking like Australiana kind of.
Like you might be burning your.
And think of like Sunny Boys is playing on the radio, you know? Yeah.
Fantastic. So we do have listeners from all over the world here. So just in case you're wondering what a Sandman is, it is it's a station wagon or an estate vehicle, and a lot of people drove these things around and they would sleep in the back so that you could just pull your surfboard out and just, you know, first thing in the morning. A real phenomenon here in Australia. It was sort of the Australian camper.
People would go to the drive-in cinemas, wouldn't they? And
yeah, exactly. And they wouldn't watch the movie.
You said it.
Absolutely.
And I think some true surfers just used to sleep in their like surfboard cover, not even a sleeping bag.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is real Australiana.
They're all rusty.
Fantastic. So we've got our warm leather seats, which gives a little bit of an idea of the type of leather that we're talking about. Because Josh, you mentioned before, leather can be expressed in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah.
So this is a seat type leather, which is not super pungent.
No.
It's actually quite a light leather.
That's
Very light.
Most a bit, light, a little.
Nearly on the vinyl side.
Yeah. All right. So you also mentioned surf wax.
So I'll talk about surf wax in Australia for any international viewers and listeners. Surf wax has a very distinctive smell. It's probably one of my favorite smells. It's a little bit coconutty. It's got this. Yeah, there's just nothing better than surf wax. And in Australia, we have this famous, especially one brand, Mr. Zog's Sex Wax. And I guess that's kind of what that's thing. And it's nearly like the surf wax. This is resembled on a hotter day where it's kind of like a little bit melted. Like when you put your surfboards in the car or on the roof and you're going to go surfing at the beach, you cannot help but smell the surf wax. And it brings this little bit of joy to you. So that's kind of where
I'll help with the scent profile. It's kind of like a bit musky, slightly coconutty, neoprene. Like that's what sort of surf wax kind of comes across. Bit would you agree? It's
Definitely get that.
and that
Nice.
waxy, musky coconut.
Okay.
And for anyone, when Jules is saying neoprene, we're talking about like when you put a wetsuit on for your, it's got that mix of smell. And maybe we just smell that because it's like, once again, it's transportation and placement, because every time you go surfing, you've usually got your wetsuit on. So maybe that note isn't even there, but because our memories are so strong and written into that, that's what we think of.
Absolutely. It's about getting that sense or that feeling of the surf wax. Because again, I assume surf wax is not a note. It is a fantasy, a chord that you've built to give the representation of surf wax. I've got to say, I think you've done an amazing job of this. I'm not a surfer at all. I can't stand up on a surfboard. I'm way too uncoordinated for that. But I actually use surf wax very, very regularly. I'm an ice hockey player, and ice hockey players wax their sticks. It helps the puck to stick. And so I use surf wax all the time. It's a smell that I'm really familiar with. In fact, we heat it up over the stove to melt it into the actual material, at least I do. It's part of my ritual. And so I get that wax smell twice a week. Yeah. I think you've captured it really beautifully here, but it's really well balanced with that leather smell. It's just come together. It's, I think you mentioned it before, sensual. It's got that sensual sort of smell, and that's where we're traveling to. What about Seth, Rob? What are you sensing there?
I think I'm getting some of the base notes coming through. Like when I smell it, I get a little bit of a smokiness as well. But I definitely get the coconut, but with something else. Now, I would struggle to name that the way that, because I'm not as familiar with the wax. So it's good to hear that.
And you're definitely getting that hint of the base note and can I say it? The hint of the vanilla. Yeah. And that's adding that kind of creaminess into, nice mix.
Like getting that sensual sort of smell coming through.
I would nearly even say that smell it's nearly the sharpness of the leather.
Can't quite define it. Yeah. And when I smell the strip, it's quite different. Really quite different.
Quite different.
Almost smells more like a cleaner.
This is almost quite clinical.
Yeah.
A more clinical sensation, whereas on the skin, It's got that creamier, sensual
More
feeling.
rich.
And I think
Yeah.
Kirra Curl, a lot of our fragrances, a lot of the time when we find we got a range like this, it's a very likable range, and it's people always, they'll smell all the fragrances, and that people will tend to go to the safest option, that they resonate with straight away. Whereas something like Kirra Curl and even like Moonlight Ash, you really need to like wear it on your skin and let it develop, because only if you wear it, then you love it. And it's like, that's why I can't push that enough with people. When you're choosing a fragrance and you're really looking to find something unique and different, you may not, that first initial spray, you may not fall in love with it, but that's why you need to like really give it spray it in your skin and give it the time, because it like these fragrances develop so much. And, when it's got that dry down and coming to the place where we are now between the middle and the base, you might actually realize, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to you with Kirra Curl, didn't I? I'm not sure if it's in the right now or before we started, was today, because we're coming to the, because we're going to talk about Kirra Curl. We're like, I've worn Kirra Curl today, and I've fallen back in love with it again, because it's like, it's sat on my skin. I'm like, oh, that's right. It's
Right. It's beautiful.
I think that's the beauty of something like a discovery set, because it's taking the pressure away from a customer to pick there and then.
Yeah.
And instead, it's allowing them to go on a journey and to thoughtfully just try a fragrance, see what they think of it, do you get any comments? Do people at work say, wow, what are you wearing? Like, does someone tap you on the shoulder when you're at the supermarket? Or does it bring some, emotion that you're really enjoying? And it doesn't always have to be a positive emotion, does it? Like,
No, it's all just emotions, memories,
But
wherever it takes.
I think that's why houses that do their discovery sets, like, it is such a great way to just thoughtfully try the fragrance.
In more than one type of occasion or weather, or for us here, we could try it every day and it would be a completely different weather.
Especially in our range, we've designed fragrances really just for daytime, and then we've got moodier ones for night. But I guess, and we do meet some consumers that wear the one that I might wear for day, they do wear it in the evening. We all have our own personal preference.
It's all the individual approach.
Yeah, well, there's no need to put anything in a box, really. And it's the same with the whole idea of male and female fragrances versus unisex. This is, flowers are for females and leather is for male. This whole thing is just, I think it's outdated now.
Well, it's funny you say outdated, because previous dated, like, fragrances were gender neutral.
Yeah.
Society in this, in this century created gender based like fashion and scents. So previously it was like, it was interpretation. Whereas that's why that was a big, strong thing when creating this, like we said before, is, just because it's floral doesn't mean you're not good. There can be a bit more of a heavier floral, and it just shouldn't scare you off. You should just give it a go.
Absolutely. It's what works on your skin.
Yeah.
If you like it, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing in life, isn't it? Is not to just follow the crowd or to follow what's on TikTok or social media. Just try it for yourself. And if you resonate with something, go for it.
Don't care. Do not care. I do not like this in society. Just do not care what other people think. Do what you love. And if your intuition tells you it's great and you love it, doesn't bloody make a damn thing like what other people think. So you do it.
March to the
And
beat
it's
of your...
probably when you're going to get all the compliments as well.
That's when you're actually your personality is gonna shine. It's gonna empower you, because you're doing what you want and not what other people want. And you know what? Things will go good for you in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think this is one of the reasons why we really love to, champion Australian perfumery, because I think what we find with Australian perfumery is it is unique, it is different, and it's not necessarily mass market, designed to be mass market appealing. Now, it can be mass market appealing, but it's not designed to be. It's not hooking onto the latest vanilla trend and trying to push out as many of those fragrances as possible.
We can both put our hands up and say we have never created a fragrance because of a trend.
Yeah.
We actually quite like to be out of the game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. Allows you to be unique.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Allows you, whereas
Because unfortunately, if you just put it in ChatGPT, what's the latest trends? Cherry. God, got to make a cherry fragrance. How dull and boring.
I think at Exxon's like was it last year that people were actually so happy we didn't have a new cherry fragrance because they're like every single person that you're smelling it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, but I also just think that, not following the trend and focusing on your own thing is when your own creativity can really come out.
And you need to be passionate about the fragrance, and it needs to really, we need to be able to sit with someone like both of you and really draw on our experience and tell a story rather than imagine today if, let's talk about Kirra Curl. Oh, well, Kirra Curl was created because we in 2016, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not authentic. Yeah, and you can feel that.
And you said before, like Mihan has been going for a long time, and now it's our full time. After it, we will know our careers, and this is what we do. But it's because we've given it time to breathe. We haven't pushed it. And, there probably would have been times where people would have given up over the years and that, but we've just we will always win the slow game. And even like every year, someone's like, what are you bringing out this year? Which fragrance? We're like, well, maybe we won't bring out a fragrance this year because, if anything, like what we've, like Sienna Broom set, like, let's say from a sales perspective, the sales are the best they've been this year because the fragrance are here forever anyway. So why do we have to keep bringing out new things? Like we'll bring them out when we love that fragrance and when we feel it's right. And if it doesn't feel right, we're not going to push it just from a commercial point of view.
Yeah, I mean, if you're following trends, you're going to push them out constantly, right? Because the cherry's in, and the vanilla's in, and then the whatever's in. Right?
Pistachio. And
if you're trying to keep up with that, then of course you're going to be pumping them out, and then they sort of lose a bit of their specialness and their value. So I love the direction that you've taken here, and I think this conversation is like a great little segue into your actual philosophy around Mihan. So you mentioned that your fragrances they're primarily not gender assigned or unisex. Is that a bit of a core philosophy of yours?
100%. Yeah, I think
start.
Also comes from our just beliefs in just human society and fashion and everything. Like basically what I harped on about before is like, if you like it, you do it. Don't listen to the crowd, be the individual.
Yeah. Well, we like nothing better than a more unisex one because that way, we can justify the price a bit more.
Yeah.
We can both enjoy it.
That's actually one of our favorite feedback.
Compliments.
Couples fighting over the fragrance, and then the whoever it is uses all the fragrance, and they have to get their secret bottle.
Guilty.
The other beautiful thing that we get a lot of feedback is generations fight over it. So like children and parents. And I really love that as well, because again, with society right now and trends, it's like, right, you've got to create fragrance for the 16 to 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Right, you've got to create one for the 20 to 35-year-old. And then, but again, we're an ageless fragrance house. We're, androgynous, ageless, vegan, cruelty-free. They're like our, really strong core values.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. I think that's really important to note as well. Yes. Vegan and cruelty-free. This is what we want to see. No testing on animals. We're animal lovers. We've got dogs. In fact, our dogs are just out outside with our children, our daughter's here doing some babysitting today, and she's often in our collection. Spraying on our fragrances. And certainly from our perspective, because we've got a pretty substantial collection, as you can imagine, doing a perfume show. And to make it into our collection now, it needs to be able to be wearable for both of us. Great. Otherwise, it's just not going to make it in. Yeah. So we don't really have a lot of room for female or male fragrance.
Well, it might be a very special birthday or something. You might go and select something that's only specific, female or leaning or male leaning, but generally, yes, we like to get our money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. But so a pretty constant in our house is, you've been wearing far too much of this one that's been sitting on my side of the room.
Hands off.
Fantastic. So again, we've got a bit of time. And so we're going from the dry down from the heart to the base. And that typically takes anywhere between sort of half an hour to 45 minutes, again, depending on the formulation. Now, this gives us a chance to explore the broader range. Now, you did mention the sample packs, and we highly encourage people to purchase sample packs, to wear the fragrance and go through the full dry down, just like we're going through today. Not just that, but wear it in a variety of different occasions and weathers and all sorts of things, because it does change. But we'd love to explore the broader range from the sample pack that we've got here. Now, we're not the experts, you guys are, so we're going to take your direction. Where do you think we should start in terms of the broader range?
We'll start.
Well, we like to be very chronological.
Great.
Let's do that. And we have 3 series. So series 1 is Mikado Bark, Sienna Broom, and Guilty Story. And series 1 is based on romance and nostalgia. So these were the 3 that we created while we were living overseas, or the concepts were created. Also, each fragrance is actually coded in, actually not on these little samples, but every fragrance does have a code.
Yes.
So as you can see by the discovery set. So we always encourage the consumer to actually smell in the series, and you can really see it evolve as well.
I think what we're going to do today as well, I think we're going to go back to our roots. So we're going to scrap the notes.
Great.
Yeah.
And just have a smell.
And we're just going to smell and tell the inspiration and the story behind that fragrance.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That sounds perfect.
Sounds
How
lovely.
does that sound?
Very good.
Then people can resonate with that, and then we'll see what people think of from the right.
Fantastic.
If we have anyone put their hand up from the audience and they do want to know the notes, just yell out and we can talk about the notes.
We will put the website up a little bit later on the show on the screen, so it's nice and easy to find Mihan, and all of the notes are listed on the website as well as you look up each one of the individual fragrances. Okay, so we're going to be spraying out Mikado Bark first.
Yeah. So Mikado Bark it's probably like our easiest wearing fragrance, I would say. It's a very clean, woody fragrance. And this is inspired by, I guess, like living in Melbourne, you are in a city, and I love Mikado Bark. And it's hanging out in the parklands of like with your friends. It's a big part of like, what do you do on a Sunday on the weekends? And the parks in Melbourne, I feel like such a big part, and it resembles like any kind of parkland, whatever city you are in, like New York, or you could be anywhere in the world. So we've spent a majority of our like living life around Carlton, Fitzroy. So this would be like, I guess, like imagine an autumn, Sunday afternoon hanging out at Edinburgh Gardens with our friends, having a picnic. The autumn leaves are crunching under your feet. You might have taken
Golden light.
You might have taken like our dog Donna Summer down to like throw the ball, and and you've just got that autumn dew. It's just very clean. You've had a really busy and it's escape from the concrete of the city, and that's Mikado Bark.
Absolutely. I am not going to pretend that I haven't smelt this before, because I actually own a full bottle of this. This is the first one I bought from the Mihan range, and we'd gone in and sprayed them all out. And this was my sort of standout. And I think you mentioned before, people go with that sort of safer, easy to wear. And this has been my sort of grab and go, wear it to the fragrance. I know I'm not going to offend anybody wearing it in the office. Everybody loves this smell on me. I get compliments on it all the time, but it doesn't just choke people out. It's not a, clawing, overwhelming fragrance, just very fresh.
And I'm exactly the same as you, Trent. So this is my all-time number one go-to. And again, I guess if you think of my past career of working in a hospital in neurophysio, I wanted to wear a fragrance that was more subtle. I also do a lot of like meditation, yoga, Pilates. And this to me is a very grounding fragrance. It's an earthy fragrance, but it's clean, it's soft, very meditative. So this is just so calming. This isn't the one that's going to energize you before a big meeting. This one's just going to really calm your state of mind, help you focus, concentrate, but in a calm way.
Yep. So you don't walk in nervous.
Yeah. The more you smell it, I'm going to use the word softness, but it's just, as you say, very relaxing almost, in a kind of uplifting sort of way.
And also just to let you know, like we're using the word soft, but all of our fragrance, they're actually 30% perfume concentrate. So they're all classified as a parfum. Some houses would actually say parfum extract.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So, it's quite amazing that you can create a very soft fragrance when the percentage of essential oils and formulation to the base is so high.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is certainly from my experience, this is a fragrance that, while it doesn't massively project and choke people out, which is not appropriate for an office situation, it lasts.
It lasts.
And lasts and lasts and lasts. And so you put it on at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 7 o'clock at night, I'm still smelling this on my skin. And for me, it makes me feel clean. I smell clean. I feel really put together when I put it on. And it's just one of those, I don't need to think about what I'm wearing. It's just grab it and go. I just know it's appropriate for every occasion. It's a really beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It's definitely something you should get your noses on.
If you do just want to talk briefly about the notes, because you've got customers from all over the world. So it's classified as a woody fragrance. And so the top notes is sage and autumn dew. So again, we're trying to have that autumn golden light. And then we have some dry herbs, so clove and cinnamon bark. And then the base notes is cedarwood and patchouli.
So you're getting that nice earthy, woody smell there in the base, which actually comes through pretty much as soon as you spray that out, which again is why the perfume pyramid doesn't quite do perfume justice, but it's just a way to explain things.
It's a nice guide.
It's a nice guide,
definitely.
But that autumn dew, that dewy smell is definitely the thing that you pick up. Well, certainly for me, that's what I get from the opening of that fragrance, and it's what makes you feel clean. It's what's uplifting. It's really nice.
And I think it's also the one note that sort of distinguishes it from other houses as well that create a fragrance like this as well.
Absolutely. It's really unique. I can say
quite
I haven't smelled anything else like it. It's really unique. But I have a sienna broom. She's very eager. So let's go through sienna broom. Let's have a bit of a smell.
So again, closing your eyes and imagine your effervescent, supernatural and clever.
The sienna broom is one of the OGs. I love sienna broom. The baseline of it, it's a coconut fragrance without being too coconutty. So it's got a beautiful notes. Imagine like coconut with cucumber, and the cucumber cools it down and just cools that off. And it's inspired by, so we used to go to Fitzroy Pool all the time every week. And this is like on a summer's day, you're just hanging with your friends, you're laying on a poolside bench at Fitzroy Pool, the sun's glistening, everyone's like prancing around, doing their thing like they do at Fitzroy Pool. And, you've brought one of your magazine, you're wearing your big sunglasses, you might have your big straw hat or something, and you're just faltering for the magazine, having a look. You might be just sipping on a soda water if you've snuck in a gin and tonic, and it's just that you can just hear the splashing of the pool in the background, and that's that perfect summer day is sienna broom.
And just to tell a bit of a backstory, so people who aren't familiar with Melbourne, there is a bit of a north and south divide. Northerners are a bit lazy, so that's north side of the river. And to get to, say, St Kilda, Elwood, Brighton, it can be a bit of a journey. So we tend to flock to some of the pools, and they're a bit of a hangout. But really, sienna broom for so many people is just Australian summertime in a bottle. So it's just being at your favourite body of water, whether it's a pool, the river, a cascade, the beach, a lagoon, and it's, exactly what Josh described. This has juniper berries, so that's why, we were speaking about the gin and tonic. It has the cucumber, the cooling sensation after sunbaking, slip, slop, slap, of course, wear sunscreen.
Yeah, it's definitely got that, for me, that you've just had a massage and then you're sort of stepping back out into the pool set area sort of feel to me. Yeah, it sort of takes me back to that nice, relaxing, I'm nice and loose now and I'm ready just to hang out by the water and jump in.
I saw someone speak about this recently, and she's been a big follower of Mihan for a while, and she was saying that she doubles this up with her coconut cream and sienna, and then when she doubles up, the cream actually it helps with the longevity of the fragrance as well. And on a nice summer's day wearing those two, she just feels like she can do anything.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense as well. I like to layer it.
Yeah, I think it's something that it actually, I hadn't thought about it for a while, but because a lot of time people, I'm just going a little bit off again here, but sometimes, say, the fragrance hasn't lasted long or something, but you always sometimes remember, it's also how fragrance can only hold how healthy your skin is, how you're feeling, that kind of day. And if it's super, super hot, you are just going to, if you've sweated a lot, you will lose your fragrance. So having something like a nice moisturizer or something will hold your fragrance longer. So there's definitely a great tip if you want your fragrance to last longer. Skin that's more moisturized and absorbent will hold your fragrance more.
And just for those people who, do say work in an office, it's a really strong recommendation from me because I work in an office. Just because you can't smell it doesn't mean other people can't smell it. So you don't need to keep reapplying because that's what chokes other people out.
Yeah.
Hot tip, there's a V here. All right, but from your sort of shoulder down to your chest and up again. And if you spray in this zone, including your neck, you can have a bit of a tendency to go nose blind to your own fragrance. Doesn't mean that other people can't smell it. So strong recommendation is sometimes to avoid this area and spray in other spots. That way you get a whiff of it all day and you're not going to choke everybody else out because you just sprayed half a bottle onto yourself and it's not necessary.
And also, if you're someone who wears the same fragrance all the time, your olfactory senses actually get used to that smell and you won't smell it as much. Like that's why it's probably good to change up your fragrance a bit because then you'll get to enjoy it more because if you wore it every single day, it's like everything, the smell nearly becomes immune to you. So
Like acclimatized to it. Yeah. Fantastic.
Mm.
So what about the note breakdown?
Okay. So top notes, bit similar to Kirra Curl with this one. So I guess Kirra Curl was sea salt. This is sea air. So it's a little bit mineraletic. And then we have a citrus number. So bergamot.
just very
An
light.
all-time favorite.
Very light. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's very uplifting.
Mm.
And then middle notes is the cucumber and soft coconut. And I just really want to reiterate, it's very subtle, the coconut. It's not too sunscreen-like, is it?
No.
It's sort of subtle, creamy, but I think the cucumber gives it freshness. And then the base notes, again, we're working with some vanilla.
Yep.
Add in a little bit of sensualness. Copaiba, which is a resin, and then juniper berry,
Nice.
which creates gin.
I've got to say, I'm really amazed at how you've managed to capture cucumber just so it's almost photorealistic.
Yeah.
And just how much the cucumber sort of stands out. So beautiful. For being such a subtle smell, you're smelling cucumber.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's doing this same job as what it does in a drink here, doesn't it? How you put a cucumber in a drink to cool down, like to cut through that sweetness. That's what it's doing here.
just amazing.
And that connection that we all have with cucumber, and when you, if you bite into it or it snaps, it's almost like you get that freshness, but you can sort of almost feel the snap,
Crisp.
the crispness. That's a good word.
So lovely, so fresh, and so perfect for a day like today. It's actually quite warm outside now. In Melbourne, I think it'd probably be around the 26, 27 degree mark. That's just great. Anything there and hotter as well. Yeah, this is perfect. Beautiful.
I would say not sweet, this fragrance.
No.
Some coconuts have it sweet.
A lot of
more
people get
sweet.
scared off by coconut fragrances straight away because I think a lot of them are very sweet.
Well, it's not.
No, this is a perfect summery type fragrance that you can wear. Yeah, not overwhelming at all, but beautiful. And again, will last on your skin.
Cool.
Lovely. All right. So what's our next fragrance?
Guilty story. We all have a little guilty story, don't we?
Yeah, well, we can't get away with just saying it's guilty story. What's the story behind the name of this?
Go on.
So me and Julia, we do like to go to a lot of gigs and music festivals and stuff like that. And
Opulent night.
opulent nights out. I'd say guilty story. A friend of mine used to runs a music festival called Let Them Eat Cake, and we used to always you could stay on at the mansion. It's at Werribee Mansion. This beautiful hotel out in Werribee, and you'd have the day party, and then for a select few, you'd be able to stay in the mansion for a couple of nights, and every room's just people having DJ decks, and it's just a big guilty story. Yeah.
The dress ups.
Yeah, we'll let your imagination, because we go on there, getting a sense.
No rules. Room service, another ice bucket, please.
Fantastic. Would have been great back in the single days, eh?
Yeah.
So this is, irresponsible, lustful, leading, and gregarious. So a social number, very irresponsible. And it desires come true.
Yeah. I love when it's going out. You dress up really nice. You're going out for a dinner or with friends, and it just empowers you.
This is a very sensual, sexy, look at me fragrance. When you wear this, you feel so confident.
Yeah, it's it feels like quite a night.
Yeah.
Fragrance, a going out fragrance, a date night fragrance. Yeah, very sensual. I think it's a really good description.
This is our number one seller now.
Oh, sorry. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on that as well. I find this is why it's good not to ever drop fragrances in a house like any house, because sometimes when we first released Guilty Story, it wasn't as a bigger seller, but fragrance is nearly like fashion, doesn't it? It evolves in that, and depending on like what's going on that time, and now I don't know. All of a sudden, everyone just loves Guilty Story, and
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Like a fragrance, might have sat. Well, I've spoke to other people with perfume houses and have had a fragrance that's like 10 years old and nearly going to discontinue. And then it's become their biggest seller 10 years later, just because the way things have evolved. And I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, all fashion cycles. I think my grandmother always used to tell me, don't throw out that leather jacket, it'll come back in. Don't throw out those boots, they'll come back out. And they inevitably cycle back.
They do,
But obviously you were well ahead of the trend. And now people are going, oh my God, they've discovered it. It's probably also your presence has obviously grown quite substantially since your launch date, right? That more and more people are getting their nose out in the dough.
Yeah. So this fragrance is a woody amber fragrance. So it really commands your attention. And I'll briefly go through the scent profile as well.
Great.
So the top notes, again, we like a little bit of citrus.
Yep.
I think it can really enhance fragrances. It's a bit fresh. So the neroli. So again, it's a bit bitter neroli, and it's a neroli flower. And then as the scent profile develops, we have some spice. And this is a warmer spice. So saffron, which is very sensual. So I guess if you're thinking of a bit of an aphrodisiac, then Guilty Story has you covered. Very sensual fragrance. And it also has the cinnamon.
Well, cinnamon's also very sensual as well.
This is probably a slightly sweeter cinnamon, whereas in Mikado bark, it was more cinnamon bark, like a drier. This is a warmer, richer.
Yeah. So you've got the saffron,
Nice.
which can be a little bit leathery, and then you've got it sort of offset with the sweeter sort of cinnamon in there. Yeah, beautiful. So it's the heart.
Then the base, again, we're playing with vanilla. So more sensual. This is musk, has the amber, Australian sandalwood, and cedarwood. So again, a really woody, creamy base.
It's quite deep, isn't it?
Yeah. For me, when I smelled this, and as you were talking, Julia, I was just thinking, normally I don't associate scent with an energy, but I felt like this fragrance has an energy about it that's so different from what we've smelt today. And so, it immediately drew me in. So really love it.
Such a well-balanced series, isn't it? So this is your series 1. So you've got your like daytime office type fragrance, you've got your weekend daytime, playful fragrance, and then you've got your evening fragrance. So you've got everything sort of covered in this.
And we launched all three at the same time.
And this was in 2017. So all of these have been around since 2017. Fantastic. And people are starting to discover Guilty Story, which, we also know vanilla's a sort of trend at the moment. So not all that, not surprising.
A little bit yummy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely essential. I think this is this is definitely a date night fragrance. I absolutely love it. All right. So I think it is time to move on to series 2. So what year did series 2 come out?
So 2021. Yeah. I think it's so series 2 was released slowly. Series 1, maybe 2020, yeah. But series 1 was released all together, and then series 2 we have just dripped
it through.
So series 2 is inspired by we've gone more to the Australian landscape and phenomena. So we'll start with petrichor plains, and if people who don't know what petrichor, the actual word, was created by the CSIRO in Australia about 10 years ago. And we thought what a fitting way to use it in our name.
Basically, petrichor is to represent the smell of rain. That's what the word petrichor means.
Petrichor was this petrichor, because petrichor can be anywhere you are. It could be in a city or in the countryside. So this certain petrichor, especially Julia, grew up in the countryside and I grew up in the mountains. Petrichor it's been a really hot, humid summer's day, and especially in the country, and then you just get this, you can smell the rain before it hits. And that is actually, that's the smell, not actually the smell when the rain's hit. It's the smell just pre, and it hits, and that's when it basically everything around you just comes to life. So that's where the petrichor can be a different smell depending where you are, because it depends on like what's in the soil, what's in the concrete, everything. But that I think everyone's had their experience of that smell, and it's something just really beautiful about that smell and very grounding. And that's where that comes from.
Yeah, it's probably opposite of the petrichor you smell in Bangkok when it pours down with rain and it's more a bitumen.
Which is unbelievable in
Yeah.
itself.
Absolutely. My understanding of petrichor is that every human being is hardwired to love that particular smell because it actually harks back to our survival instincts. So when we know that it's about to rain, we know that that's our opportunity to gather, much needed water, which sustains our survival, but also food. And so there's actually, there's a whole range of different notes out there which we might like or we might dislike, but petrichor is one of those ones that universally is absolutely loved by everybody across the world. That's my understanding of petrichor.
I didn't even know that one. So
That was nice to learn today.
put that in, write that one now.
It's like hardwired into our DNA. Yeah, it's quite a unique one.
Definitely.
So if you want to sell a fragrance, I'm popping some petrichor in there. It's a great way to go. Fantastic. So how would we describe this?
Again, if we're going to talk about the tax, so it's porous, melodious, argicilious, and relieving. So I guess, again, like if you think of the rain, it brings such great relief. Whether you're a farmer, gardener, survival instinct, isn't it? You're relief. There's relief.
Yeah, the rains are finally coming. Like crop's not going to die.
It's been very hot.
Like that McCain ad, the ranger here. If anyone knows,
So I guess for us, this is the cues like water, 'cause it's a water fragrance. And the top notes are actually hints of floral. Because again, we're trying to describe a landscape where there is native bushland, but then also some florals throughout. So you get hints of rain and iris with some violet, and then we have rosemary and cardamom. So remember, this is our interpretation, and everyone has their own interpretation of petrichor. And then the beautiful base notes is amorous, and then Australian borderwood. Sorry, not borderwood.
Sandalwood.
My mistake, sandalwood. So yes, I guess this is a very refreshing, relieving, close your eyes. You can step almost into like a rain cloud. We definitely had this fragrance around when it was COVID.
Yeah.
So, when we're trying to remember, when was this launched? It was definitely pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID.
I don't know whether people know this, but Melbourne had the worst lockdown.
Yeah. Longest lockdowns in the world
Yeah.
by quite a margin as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were locked down for what felt like years.
So we would spend hours and hours a day in our pajamas, but you would go into the bathroom and spritz some fragrance, close your eyes, and then escape.
And wasn't it important back then to be able to do this?
Yeah.
Because we were locked into a 5-kilometre radius of our homes in terms of where we could walk to. So if you wanted to experience the beach, or you wanted to experience the bush, or you wanted to experience any of that, probably your best way was through fragrance.
Yeah.
And it probably helped with a lot of people's sanity through the course of the pandemic. I also know that during the pandemic, the popularity of fragrance absolutely exploded.
It skyrocketed, didn't it?
Sales of cosmetics and fragrance, went through the roof.
Because you had nothing else to do. It was, you're locked in your home. I need to be transported elsewhere.
I think Mecca had their
think again-
record sales.
And I think
didn't they?
that's going back to like
Yeah.
the power of scent.
Yes.
It was people were using fragrance as a portal to energize themselves and improve their mood, maybe help support their state of anxiety or mental health, like rather than just getting the doctor to write them a script.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we always have liked fragrance, but we went a little bit crazy during that period with samples and everything. But I don't think at the time that we kind of realized, first of all, how many other people were doing it, but also why that we were doing it. So not just because you want to buy something else, but rather because it's actually filling in a need that we obviously had while we were locked down.
Yeah, it's easy to identify that now on reflection. When you're in it, you don't really understand what the key drivers are. But on reflection, we actually miss not being able to leave our house, to only have the same 5 square kilometres and everything's ordered in. And prior to lockdown, just like probably most Australians, we live in a very big country here. We're used to driving around everywhere and exposing ourselves to a lot of different things, and to be locked into that little bubble. Of course, we were experiencing this, and what a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, this is an absolutely beautiful fragrance. So I'd say, just to help our viewers and listeners to understand this fragrance a little bit better, when would you suggest is the right type of season to wear?
I think petrichor is all round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Any night, any season.
Any season, hot, cold, in between.
I'd wear this out when you could just wear it whenever. It actually kind of goes back to why everyone likes that. Maybe something.
Yeah, because they're hardwired.
To love it.
Anytime.
Yeah, fantastic. So if you're looking for a really versatile fragrance, this is definitely one to grab, because you just wear it anytime, any occasion. Beautiful. Fantastic. All right, which one should we move on to next?
Okay, so now we're going to move on to Moonlark Ash, and it is our 5th fragrance. So it's a part of series 2. So going back to natural phenomenons and Australian landscapes, Josh describes his fragrance really well. So I'll let him take the lead, and I'll spray the fragrances for Josh and I.
Yeah. So Moonlark Ash is so just I'll get this up, Jules.
And just in the interest of transparency, again, I'm not going to pretend that I don't know this fragrance, because I own a bottle of this as well.
So just before I start this, so Moonlark is definitely it's one of those, it's kind of like a Kirra Curl. You really need to give it, like, really try it on your skin to really, because the top notes are quite high. And as it just deepens down massively, especially on your skin. And anyone I know we say you should wear different fragrances different times. But something about Moonlark, people just wear Moonlark and it becomes their fragrance, and they just go through it so quickly. It's beautiful. Yeah, so Moonlark is resinous, cleansing, nostalgic, and arboreal. So which gives that arboreal smoky kind of quality.
Yeah.
Moonlark Ash it's inspired from, like, I guess, like the Australian bushland of going camping, and basically the grounding of it is, like, growing up, especially in Australia, for especially anyone international, a lot of us in Victoria will go, we go camping on holidays, and go in the bush, the Australian bush. It's so beautiful with all the eucalyptus trees and everything, and we will sit around and we will have a campfire. It's that basically, to me, this is like sitting at night time, everyone's just kind of telling stories, sharing, and you've got that flickiness of the campfire and it smoke sometimes in your eyes, and it gets a little annoying, but that's that nostalgic kind of feel. And that's the grounding base of Moonlark Ash, and that's where it comes from. I think that's a really happy memory for a lot of people, because it's usually when you're on holidays and you're taking time out, and actually hopefully a lot of time you've got no reception or anything, so you're really in that moment, and it's quite nice. And people connect.
I think it captures it perfectly. This is my Australian bush fragrance. That's what it is. And it's quite complex. This scent, you've done a great job of actually describing it. I have always struggled to describe this to other people and just said, listen, I'll pop it on and you smell it. Yeah. Doesn't that smell like the bush? And people agree that it smells like the bush. So that's a great description of it. Sitting around the campfire in the bush, it's got that smoky.
Yeah, it's definitely got that.
It's got the depth as well, but at the same time, it's almost like, when you go in, whether it's the alpine or the bushland, and you breathe the air in, and you have some invigoration. Like I get that from this.
I think that's from especially the blue cypress. It really gives it that like alpine kind of bushland, in a way, that really stark cold nights, but then, warm in the day. Just love it. I love this one.
Yeah, it's great. I also get the pepper, the peppery top note.
Gives it a bit of a spicy element to it.
I got lost in the fragrance here. Have we gone through the notes?
So it's a dry woods. That's how we've classified it. The top note, again, we play around with a bit of citrus in this house. So it's got bergamot. It has also some black pepper. And I know black pepper's not always a top note, but for us in this fragrance, I think it's one of the first notes you do notice. So we've used that as a top note. Fir needle and tree sap. So I guess it's that resinous, piney, cypress, and then the base is Australian blue cypress with vetiver and frankincense. So again, we have some consumers where for them this doesn't take them to the bushland. This takes them, say, for example, to their religious place.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I can see
because
that.
we have the frankincense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it's almost like a very family orientated ritual, like, it's a very, with the frankincense and the earth and
I can
a
see it.
sense of community. And
Yeah, we've tried a bit trying to smell the Arabic bakur, and that's a very much a frankincense based, and I can see why people might associate with that. It's quite resinous.
I think it's the resin element.
It tricks your mind a little bit because, we know both that bush and the sort of frankincense in the more religious sort of, churchy way, but because of the tree sap and those things, it sort of tricks your mind a little bit. And
Yeah.
it goes from the more campfirey ashiness to the fresher sap.
because it definitely has a smoky element, and the vetiver would be contributing to that.
I just think for me, because it absolutely takes me to the Australian bush for me in my scent memories, I think this is amazing that you managed to capture this. I don't know how you brief in a perfumer, whether you just waft it into a bottle and say, replicate this, but wow.
Go into that actually. Idea. Yeah, we'll go through all of the fragrances and then we can talk about how do we create.
That'd be amazing.
All right, shall we move on to the next one in that case?
Well, we've done Kirra Curl.
Kirra
so-
Curl is nice. So that's what this podcast is all about.
And then 7, Sinful Rose, which we released last year,
2 years ago.
2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's that.
Well, we're now in 2026.
I know, it's crazy.
So yeah, this was released October 2024.
Yeah. So Sinful Rose is our it's our first floral fragrance,
It's a part of Series 3,
series 3.
which is like feelings and emotion.
Exactly.
Yes.
Straight away, a beautiful sweetness comes
Yeah.
through with this one. So this is a sweeter type fragrance.
Yeah.
And we definitely I guess we never steer ourselves towards floral fragrances ourselves as much, and
Okay.
probably why there hasn't been a floral fragrance in the range up to now. But to us, this is our edition of a floral fragrance, but keeping that gender neutrality to it because,
And we also wanted to create a fragrance with some, like, the scent profile changes. But as you can feel it's got a lot of depth. It's almost, again, it's a bit of a guilty story number in a rose fragrance. So it's sort of like, how could we, if you're going to create a rose fragrance, what would Mihan do? This is quite polarizing for our house because it is a very woody, sensual fragrance, but it's complex. And the reason it's complex, it's got its gingers, it has geranium, there's rose, it has oud. Yeah, we've really played around tonka bean.
and again, this one you definitely need to wear this in your skin because I've had a lot of guys go, oh, I like it, but it's a bit too floral. The rose comes out, but the rose really comes out in the top notes, and then as the dry down comes down, the oud and it comes out. We use a beautiful natural oud, which is just very mineraletic. And then a lot of people are like, oh yeah, actually I would wear this. This is great. I would say it really kind of shows the journey of Mihan, really from the start of Mikado Bark to, I guess, like Moonlark Ash, Kirra Curl, and Sinful. I guess the complexity of the fragrances is probably lifted slightly and got a bit more complex because all of those fragrances you definitely have to, like we've spoken about, give them a real go and give them a journey.
Yeah, go through the full dry down.
Yeah.
I'd certainly say to any men out there who are a little resistant to wearing rose, give it a go. Right? I'm a big rose fragrance fan, and there's a good reason why you give your lovely partner roses. They love the smell. So why wouldn't you want to smell like that? It's crazy.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to tell everyone about the inspiration behind this fragrance and the song?
Oh yeah, so this song, this fragrance is a love story between two people, kind of like coming and going, and they keep missing each other. But then it the tension builds and builds, and they finally it's just an explosion, and the
light and shades of relationships and agonists, antagonists. We're pulled in different directions. We're not always on the same path,
and that's where it's a sinful love story. And the Nick Cave. The wild and Kylie Minogue, so the version of where the wild roses grow. And actually, I'll just take us into this is how we.
This is a great example of how we
approach scent.
So Josh will explain.
So basically, we actually thinking of the notes and the materials of the perfume is the last thing that we think of. And the first thing we think of is a concept and the story that like resonates with us. Like we've explained, these are all just experiences that are close to us. And then from there, we love music. So we always find songs or a song that resonates with this. And that's where and then we will have a mood board. We'll find reels and videos that we feel captures that emotion. And then from there, taking that all in, then we will go to that location or try and immerse ourselves as much as possible in that feeling and or placement. And then each of us will come up with our own notes of what we think that is. And only then, once we've really got this, it's like a whole journey, we will then approach our perfumist. And they always love this because we actually when creating Sinful Rose, we didn't make her. We did make her. She put headphones in and listened to Nick Cave while reading the copy that we had created and looking at the images to really build her. And she said that was the best brief she's ever been given. It was so easy for her to make the fragrance.
We presented the tact, the emotion, the description, the mood board, the colors, the playfulness. Yeah, so basically our perfumer is in the bubble of Sinful Rose. I think by that stage we'd already decided on the name. We knew that Rose by that stage was going to be a hero element because, as Josh said, like we immersed ourselves in that feeling and emotion. So Josh and I, we're not perfumers and we're not trained perfumers, but we still have an understanding of note profiles and essential oils. We really wanted to use oud, and we hadn't used oud. And it's so expensive and made this fragrance skyrocket in price.
Well, especially because this is a beautiful natural oud.
Yeah.
So,
but so it is great when you have a particular ingredient in mind, but then you've got to be prepared to pay the price.
Yeah. And I guess that goes back to we create fragrances that we like because the actual fragrance isn't even on the radar until it's gone past our story that's close to our heart and everything. And then the fragrance just falls out, if that makes sense.
And then actually we don't even do focus groups. We're the experimenters. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it has to first
resonate
with us. So like what we said earlier, we're not developing a fragrance for trends. Maybe sometimes we should. Maybe that would be better for our bank accounts in the long run. But really, like, we're the test dummy. So it has to really
we never think of like commercial viability. So we love creative and campaigns and everything. We always, if you're a business mentor and looked at our company it's like, what are you doing?
For this fragrance, Sinful Rose, we worked with some really amazing Melbourne-based creators.
Chris
Martin and his team to create a campaign, and we actually entered it in the Berlin Fashion Film Awards, and we were shortlisted up against like Lancome,
Gucci, and Mason Margiela.
Yeah.
So just some small kind at the best
beauty houses. Yeah, so out of the yoga.
That's amazing. Yeah.
We're really stoked.
Yeah, so if anyone has a chance, have a look at and you'll see we're trying to portray, you actually don't even see the perfume in the film. It's like we really went for that story-led film kind of production.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to say, this is a magnificent fragrance. Rose and oud is a very classic sort of combination.
Yes.
Your interpretation of, rose and oud is absolutely beautiful. Very wearable as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you use a naturally sourced oud. So there's different types of oud, and we won't dive too much into it. There's farmed and naturally found. The naturally found is very difficult to find. It's expensive, but that can often smell quite animalic. Not what you're getting in this. You're getting a bit of that human animalistic piece in here. But not that.
That's the simple bit.
Yeah, but not that stinky oud.
Yeah.
Thing. It's beautifully blended. It's really, really lovely.
And again, like the notes or the tact is, intoxicating, sensual, evocative, and intimate. So like that's really what this fragrance is all about. But you must agree, like, that can you smell the hint of ginger?
Yeah.
And I think that part of the fragrance is so important because it breaks
It nearly does what
tradition of an oud rose fragrance.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
nearly does what the cucumber does to sienna.
Yeah. Yep. So it's just not that two-note pony. It really has that depth and that complexity to it. Yeah, absolutely. Another lovely fragrance. So have we provided the note breakdown on this one?
I can, yes. So again, it's a floral woody. So the top notes, bergamot, geranium, Turkish rose, and then the middle notes, vanilla, ginger, tonka bean, Turkish rose again, because I guess it is such a feature. And then the base note is oud, benzoline, patchouli, and sandalwood. So yeah, as Josh said, like as you can see, there's complex and depth, and it sort of has like a bit of zest and then floral, and then the sensuality of some vanilla and creaminess of the sandalwood, but then the oud gives it that what is
It's funny though, because like we always, like when we went to do a floral fragrance, we always, I think we just both agreed we wanted to do a rose fragrance. But in a way, like, you know, when I go back to the start of telling people the notes and it's in the name, I do wonder how it'd be perceived differently if we didn't mention rose at all, because rose is polarizing.
Yeah.
And that's what we've found. And it's, you know, it takes a long time for a fragrance to resonate. But I think some people, they hear the word, I don't like rose, like you said, and then they wear it and they're like, I do like this. But if we never said rose, and even if we like try to trick people with the notes, they're like, and like, oh, I think it's rose. No, it's not rose. So it would be interesting to see how it was. But it goes, just give things a go.
I think a lot of people associate rose with either that's like a grandma fragrance,
set,
or because it was used so extensively through the 90s in home scents that you that
potpourri.
But the selection of rose that you've made here, which is the Turkish rose, is quite not all roses are the same. They can smell dramatically different. And that almost that Turkish delight type of smell that comes through this.
It's a little bit of a sweetness in it.
Really nice. It's really nice, really sensual, really well balanced, not too woody, but you can get the oud there. Absolutely lovely. Well-rounded fragrance. Great date night fragrance.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's Valentine's coming up.
Fantastic, great little gift. Now, I think we've moved our way through the sample pack, but we're not quite done, are we?
No, we've got a bit of a surprise
Fantastic.
for all the listeners. So, I guess last year we decided to break the norms and have a bit of a fun with like our first ever collaboration. Australian viewers would probably know this brand, Kip & Co. They're a very Australian lifestyle brand. Very bold colours, high energy. Yeah, there's 3 women who run the brand, 2 sisters and a best friend. And we were really lucky enough. Our fragrances are at a hotel called the Standard X in Fitzroy, and they were just there for the weekend and they were really impressed with what they saw. So they got in touch, and then, it just sort of seemed to work so naturally. They have an absolute passion for life, very approachable girls, both like all have families. And we thought, I think this collaboration could work. And then obviously Josh and I were like, wow, I think we're going to bring some playfulness and color and fun and pop and do something a bit opposite to what is a traditional Mihan Aromatics, because as you can see, we're very contemporary, clean, minimal. So anyway, so this is the baby that we produced, and it's called Soul Nectar. And as you can see, it's a bit of a sun. And the inspiration is actually the girls spend quite a lot of time in India. So they go there for inspiration. They source, I think, some of their materials also from India. And this is like that barefooted traveler. So it's like in Jaipur, so the Jaipur market. So again, it's got our look and feel, but then we've had lots of fun with this fragrance. And this is actually our next floral fruity fragrance. Well, we've never done a fruity fragrance, but it's floral, fruity, and woody.
Very juicy. It's very summer.
Very fruity. So why don't you have a go at rating? Well, maybe we'll do a little bit of a blind smell, and then we'll see if we can work out some of the notes.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. This hand.
Sorry, I've run out of bottles.
No worries. I'm actually happy to wear this on the skin.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. So you can see it's already a in terms of your color scheme, dramatic.
Yes.
The part that's very, very playful. Yeah, you've got a very, very clean aesthetic here with
Yes.
the regular range.
Yep.
I love the playfulness of it, but still the same types of bottles. Fantastic. So let's have a bit of a sniff. Okay. Juicy is definitely the right word. That is the
Yes.
first thing that jumps to mind when I'm smelling this. Juiciness is definitely it.
I thought pineapple, but I don't know. It was just something that I sort of picked up on.
Definitely fruity. Yeah. I'm getting a melange of,
Oh,
it's definitely, it gives you that real tropical
yeah.
vibe.
It's all in the air as well.
I'll read the
Yeah.
captain description while you're still smelling, and then I'll talk through the notes. So serene, glowing, euphoric, and alive. So again, that's kind of the emotions we're going for. So soul nectar is sunshine bottled, golden, luminous, humming with heat and life. It lingers like monsoon warmth on bare skin.
Yeah.
Ripe fruit dripping, petals unfolding in still air. Inspired by sun-drenched spirit of Jaipur, where nectar glows and dances in slow, honeyed motion. This is a scent of the soul, radiant, sensual, and deeply alive.
What a great description.
Yeah.
Fruity, the whole nectar, dripping nectar.
Now you can smell you can smell some floral notes coming through as well.
Yeah, so that it hits the heat of the skin. Yeah, it was a really good idea actually to spray it on.
So I'll talk us through the notes. So the opens lychee, mango, and mandarin.
So that's where you would have got.
That
Yeah,
chewy,
got a-
fruity.
Yeah.
And then the middle notes, iris, jasmine, and tonka bean.
Wow. Such an unusual combination.
Yeah, it really is. It works so well.
And then the base notes. So again, it's quite complicated, this fragrance. So cedarwood, sandalwood, amber, sweet musk, and vanilla.
It's definitely a powerful fragrance.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite heavy and quite deep, it's fruity. It's interesting that it's so deep and so heavy yet so fresh because of that fruitiness.
And I think that's what we wanted to ensure with this. Like, we didn't just want to be a fruity, light, bubbly pop kind of fragrance, because it needed to represent that soul of that, a bit of a grittiness, there's the incense, the grit, the warmth, the sunshine on your back.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to, I guess, when the girls go across to India.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes it a bit more complex. 'Cause
Yeah.
when you make a fragrance like this, it could quite easily go into that sort of teeny bopper type of zone, but it doesn't because of the complexity of those woods that are in there as well. And it does. I mean, I haven't been to India. Rob's spent a fair bit of time in India.
Yeah,
Probably
I mean,
better
there's-
positioned to.
I mean, I just only passed through that area for a little while, but one thing that stands out in my memory is the fruit carts. So they're really, really amazing fruit, so bright in color, and particularly where we were, the mangoes were just unbelievably delicious, but the monkeys would be trying to steal the cannery of it things. So, I think that's really been captured, that beautiful, juicy, bright, fruity opening. And then, there's so many layers to Indian culture and even landscape that, the depth that you're talking about.
And so with that fragrance, if you do want to experience, it's an online only fragrance. So
So it's obviously a limited edition.
Limited edition, sold through both.
And that's where you find it, even the scent, the kind of scent it is slightly out of our DNA, but that's when we wanted to have a bit of fun and go be playful.
And I think that's when a collaboration, you can sort of step out of your comfort zone a little bit as well.
It's a mix of both of us, so it's not just our brand, it's been cultured as
Both you mean.
amazing. And it was a great, we had a really good journey with that one. It was really good.
It is, honestly, that's a glorious fragrance. And so if you're listening, it is limited edition, so you do have to jump onto the Mihan site. So this might be just a good opportunity, and we'll flash it again during the show, but we'll just have on the bottom of the screen now Mihan's website, because this is the only place you can actually get this particular fragrance. We'd recommend you get on there pretty quickly if you want to get hold of this one.
There's not many left.
Not many. Fantastic. So Get it while you can. Thank you so much for taking us through the broader range. I mean, there's a lot in the range. It's really well balanced. Everything is lovely. You know, we obviously own a few of these ourselves, so we've been big fans for some time.
Thank you.
We love them all, though.
Yeah. When I was smelling the petrichor rains again, I was remembering that I almost grabbed that one too when we were shopping. Yeah, because I love that smell.
Yeah, it's hard to decide. You know, you want to buy everything, but
Yeah.
beautiful. All right, so thank you for taking us through that. Now, we have had plenty of time now for the dry down, so we're now moving from our heart to our base note. So it's time to return to Kirra Curl.
Kirra Curl.
Just before we do, I'll just quickly explain what we're about to smell, which are our base notes. So again, on your screen, you have our perfume pyramid. We have explained through the course of the show that fragrances don't necessarily unfold in the linear manner presented in the perfume pyramid, but just for your understanding, base notes are almost the opposite of those opening notes, where I said they were quite light and quite volatile. Our base notes are quite heavy, they're quite dense. And for that reason, they stick on your skin for the longest period of time. So once the opening notes have dissipated and the heart notes have started to take a bit of a back seat, it's actually those base notes that will last on your skin for the duration. And when we talk duration, we're talking 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, or even longer. So with that explanation in place, a rather basic explanation, take us through our base notes.
So our key base notes for Kirra Curl is vanilla and Australian sandalwood. So I guess the base note vanilla, I would say we could definitely get sense of it probably slightly at the start as well. Again, it's bringing that beautiful sensuality. There's lots of things that happen at the beach. Josh, do you want to talk a bit more about the Kirra Curl base note?
Yeah, so just like, I think this is going, you know, it starts from like quite the high notes of the sea salt and the lemon rind from the start, but then, you know, this is where it's got that warming tendency and it really lasts in your skin. And this is, I think that slight bit of vanilla, just, it's kind of like Guilty Story in a way. It's got that yumminess when it's on your skin at the end. And yeah, it's quite, I know it's quite comforting, I find.
Yeah.
Going to smell it. So
Yeah. I think it's lovely. As you say, very.
And quite soft as well. It's not like, I think at the start it could be quite, you know, it's got a strong open and strong middle, but then this is where it just lasts and it'll just be on your skin all day, and you know, it can just quite comforting.
Absolutely.
Where are we now in our scene of the surfing?
Now we're just laying on our towel, and the surfboard is like
Maybe some bodies are touching.
yeah,
It's that time.
The sun's sort of setting.
there's wandering hands going up. There's or you're just, and your surfboards are next to you on your towel, and you can smell the surf wax in the air, and yeah, it's just like, and then the waves are just crashing.
Yeah, we're trying to convince somebody to enter the Sandman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we're trying to do.
Not in a full consent.
Beautiful. So we got the vanilla, and we got the sandalwood, the Australian sandalwood in the base here. So you mentioned wood before, and wood being quite an expensive ingredient. Australian sandalwood is also an uber expensive ingredient. It's actually quite rare. It's one of those trees that actually needs to reach a certain level of maturity before you can even harvest it. I'm not sure whether it's protected, or certainly they're under management of many of these trees.
They're actually under, and I think that's a good thing I think one good thing Australia does is it's good at protecting a lot of these things.
Or say, for example, a lot of perfume houses, we were using Buddha wood, and now that tree is fully under protection. Early on, when we first started our fragrance house, we did have Buddha wood in this scent, but we reformulated. So now we just have Australian sandalwood. So I guess the more, we learn about the environment, and I guess, you know, there's always pros and cons for using natural versus synthetic fragrance. Like, this is a natural Australian sandalwood, but then I guess you do need to think about the devastation to the land. And that's why you need to ensure that you're sourcing from, you know, more sustainably practicing farms. And we use a mix of synthetic and essential oils for that particular reason. Say, for example, rose absolute, I think it's about 3 to 4 tons of rose petals to create 1 litre of rose absolute. So, you know, there is a lot of devastation to environment, and
I'd say it's nearly more, it's probably more sustainable in a way, you know, having ingredients that can be created over and over than ingredients that take such a big yield of such a big source of one material. Our big thing as well is we use organic sugarcane alcohol as the base in our eyes. That, like if anyone doesn't realize, the alcohol base, let's say the concentrate's 30%, the rest of that makes up, it's an alcohol carrier which perfume needs to project and to last in your skin. So that's where we really go out of our way to use the best quality organic sugarcane, because at least it's a natural product. And, that's going to, a lot of time that's the thing that a cheaply made alcohol carrier is what will give you irritation in your skin.
Yeah, so it's a bit more sensitive to your skin.
There's no pesticides used yet to harvest the sugarcane being organic. So we definitely noticed, like when we were creating our fragrances, we tried lots of different bases, and I actually get migraines myself. And I remember when we were first trialing some of the bases, it resulted in migraines. And the moment we did switch to, like, not that we ever released the fragrances, but the moment we switched the formulations to organic Australian sugarcane, it was quite remarkable. Like, no skin outbreak. I didn't experience any migraines. So
yeah, it's quite unique. I mean, I can't say that we've had many people on the show who use a sugar cane based.
Usually the way is it's about 5 times the price as well.
Okay, that might explain.
But to us, that was a very important element.
Yeah. So you're getting really premium ingredients in Mihan. And you can see, we just mentioned Australian sandalwood. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep, it is some sort of under management, and it does need to be protected. But when you use an ingredient like this, you get massive longevity out of the fragrance as well. It just lasts and lasts and lasts. It's one of those things that will stick on your skin. I guess that's probably a good chance to ask you from a wearer's perspective. And I know there's a lot of variability here, but how long can a wearer expect this particular fragrance to last?
So 6 hours minimum, and all the way up to 12 hours, like on the heavier sense with like Sinful Rose and Moonlight Ash.
Sinful Rose, I would almost like say it's a 24-hour scent. You could spray Sinful Rose in the morning and you'll wake up the next day and you'll still smell Sinful Rose.
And that's from that's that natural root.
And it kind of fits its brief because it is, sensual, evocative. So you want that scent to last a long time. Generally, our range will last, we say, between 6 to 8 hours. But most of the time, we get feedback that it's lasting longer. I guess it depends where the user lives as well. Like the humidity can also make an impact.
We used to have this thing.
Also, how much you exercise.
And also remember when we started getting some feedback from a couple of people saying, the fragrance weren't lasting, and then we realized it was these people lived in Perth.
Where it's like baking.
And then we just realized, because it was a lot of like before sweating the fragrance, and it's like anything.
Absolutely, it's just going to leave your pores.
And then also, like, I'm sure everyone realizes by now, please don't leave perfume in a hot car. It does change its scent profile. So, they, we've had a few people, email us and be like, it just now smells nothing like it.
Yeah, it's a great way to ruin your perfume. It really is. And it's not just in your car. You shouldn't really leave it by a window or
in the heat.
Best place for your perfume is in the box, and ideally like in your cupboard or somewhere
in the dark.
If you can even make it, if you really want to be obsessive with it, make it temperature controlled, even better, but at least in a dark space. Which is why would you want to get rid of a beautiful package like this? It's they're gloriously actually designed to hold the perfumes nicely. Just leave it in the pack. I think that's the best way to go with it. Fantastic. This has been a wonderful masterclass going through Kirra Curl. Again, a beautiful fragrance, one that's perfect for summer. I guess what we would love to know from you guys is, I guess, what's next? What's sort of in the pipeline?
Alex, at the moment,
we've got some exciting things.
So we're launching in China in 2 months or in a month and a half. So we'll be there's a niche perfume fair in China in Shanghai called Note Shanghai, and we've just gone through our registration process for China for the last 6 months. And to anyone out there, I know some people think you have to test on animals to be registered, but there's new legislation in that with certain certifications and everything, you can bypass those laws. And we've gone through all those hoops, and because we are vegan and cruelty free, we have managed to get through that and not have to test on animals, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an exciting market. It's a market that's really getting to fragrance, I think, more than ever. And we have great partners. So that's a big thing for us. We'll be going to Shanghai a lot.
We won't tell you too many of our secrets, but we definitely have a few things brewing.
Yeah.
We're definitely thinking a bit more about the home. So you might see something from us for the home, in the next couple of months.
Maybe in a stick.
Huh?
Ooh.
Very nice to hear that.
Also, the creative juices were flowing recently at a bathhouse called About Time. So I think I've imagined our next fragrance. It has something to do.
No, this has happened before, and we've murmured it, and someone else has done it. So,
Oh yeah, we're actually keeping our lips sealed because unfortunately so going back a bit of a backstory as well, like another reason why we use sugarcane is like my great granddad was a sugarcane farmer. Like, so it was 3 generational lines of sugarcane farmers. So my dad grew up on the sugarcane farm where we
not on the sugar cane in it.
but meaning like my granddad passed away when I think I was around 19. So that's when the farm was like sold. Anyway, so that sort of adds another layer. So even though we're Victorians, we've got that Northern Queensland blood. So there's many places there that are our next calling. We won't say any more because I think we told quite a few people a few years ago what fragrance we were releasing, created the bottle, and another Australian perfume house bet us to it.
Yep.
We're going to keep our lips sealed with what we're creating next.
It's always nice to have a bit of mystery as well.
Yeah.
Just to
Good to know that obviously there's plenty of creative juices flowing and lots are in the pipeline. So that's super.
Sometimes too much.
But we have actually, like last year we did a seaside change. So we've always lived in Melbourne. So ever since we've been together. So we've been together for about almost 20 years now. So Melbourne was always our base. Whereas now we've moved our factory down to, Ocean Grove, which is a coastal town. We live down there. We're back and forth to Melbourne. We still have a shop on Chapel Street. So we are between the two places, but our home is now coastal.
And I don't know if anyone knows, we hand fill every single bottle in our factory. We do everything else.
that's dedication, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess then you get to control.
Stupidity or dedication, emotion.
We do have a team, but like Josh and I, we wear so many hats, from, I guess when you're a founder, you're forever learning. And that's the thing, we're always critiquing and improving. And whenever we get feedback from consumers, we really take that seriously. And we always want to make a more premium version of the product. That's what we're always doing. But whether it's from marketing to accounting to hand filling the bottles to, running around, dropping off stock to all of our stockists, hanging out with them, going overseas.
It doesn't matter how big you get, I think.
Yeah.
The more you can do yourself, it's always.
It keeps you grounded, doesn't it?
I know.
Exactly. There's so much learning to be had. And again, we're going to keep diving into all the perfume courses and absorbing and learning more because that's how we'll create show-stopping scents as well.
Yeah, I mean, you two are busy. I've got to say, I mean, we've been trying to nail you down for a while, and you're either overseas, presenting, or you're doing a million different things. And I mean, we haven't even covered everything in this show that you guys are involved with. One thing I do want to cover off, because I think it's a really nice thing that you guys do, is you're actually involved with a social impact, or you're partnered with a social impact organisation. I believe it's called I equals change. That's all right. Tell us a little bit about that.
So for many years, Josh and I were wanting to give back in particular ways, because I think being, you have values and it's about community, but then also being able to give back. And it was just really hard to integrate into our website. We used to just donate to charities on a yearly basis. And then we came across this organization, I equals change, and we were like, oh my God, this is such a game changer. So it now means all of our customers who are based in Australia can go onto our website, and at the checkout, they can select one of 3 charities that we donate to. So we have one focused on women in the Pacific. So it's a social enterprise that helps to create jobs, rehouse women from whether it's domestic violence or who have like low literacy and haven't been able to find a job. We were also partnering with Seabind for about over a year. We'll most likely go back to them as well. But again, they're an organisation that help clean the waterways in Australia. We swapped from waterways to wildlife. We just thought, okay, well, we need environment. So we focused on waterways for a while. So then we swapped to a wildlife organisation. And then we've also got mental health, so Beyond Blue. So it's a really great way. So we do change what we give back, but at the moment it's just $1 for every transaction. But depending on events throughout the calendar, sometimes we increase it to 10%. Sometimes it goes to 5% per order.
Like if it's like a mental health day.
Yeah, so we do like doubling.
We might do $5 maybe South.
Yeah, so we change it depending on the ebbs and flows of our business, but we'll always consistently give something back.
Nearly turn a sale period into a giving back period instead of a sale period. It's lovely.
Yeah. Cool.
Because also with our brand, we really only do one big sale a year. And then aside from that, we try to do these particular days where...
Yeah, and we just do that too because it's actually kind of a sustainable way to keep things flowing as well. Yeah.
And we love brands that give back. So, you're protecting the Australian environment and the Australian fauna and also giving to a really important charity in Beyond Blue. It saves many, many lives. Beyond Blue. So that's absolutely lovely. So if someone wanted to jump onto your website and purchase one of these sample packs or one of the full bottles and support these charities, what is the actual address of your website?
Okay, so Mihan Aromatics. So www.mihanaromatics.com.
Fantastic.
And then you can go to our, we've got a stockist tab and you go there and it lists majority of stockists. And in Australia, we ship Australia-wide from our website, or you can go into one of our lighting stockists. We've got stockists in every single state. And then, unfortunately, perfume's too hard to send overseas because it's a dangerous good. We've got a distributor in the US that we're stocked in many, many places, all through nearly every state in the US. And in Germany and all through Europe, Austria, and then Eastern Europe. So, and then we launch in China, who will cover that. And soon, we do plan to be most of APAC as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll put the Mihan website on the screen now for you to copy down. Just in case you are listening rather than watching today, we'll embed the Mihan website into the description on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And just in case you miss all of that, you can pop to the Olfactive website, which is olfactive.com.au. We'll have a profile on Mihan, and within that profile, we'll also have a link back to the Mihan website. So multiple ways in which you can actually find the website and purchase these wonderful products.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So thank you so much. We have had an absolute blast experiencing all these amazing fragrances again and the new collaboration as well. Thank you so much for your time and the masterclass today.
Well, thank you, Robin and Trent. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's so nice to do something like this.
Thanks, guys. It's all really fun.
It's been a real pleasure having you on the show today. So, thank you. And, we look forward to expanding our personal collection of Mihan Aromatics.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our listeners as well. If you have liked this episode, please leave us a comment or subscribe to our channel. And we look forward to seeing you next time where we'll be talking to more founders and perfumers about their scents. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.